trashy pulp novels of the world have anything to offer? Are bestsellers all they're hyped up to be? The Terrible Book Club explores whether or not you really can judge a book by its cover or its ridiculous synopsis. If you've ever seen a book and thought, ugh, who's reading this? We probably are.
Episode of Terrible Book Club. I'm Chris, and this is Paris. Hello, Paris.
Hello, welcome to episode 20.
How are you feeling? I'm hungry today. You hungry, Paris?
I'm starving, and I have a headache.
Oh, maybe we can feed you something.
Yeah,
something to chew on.
Maybe we'll eat.
A little bit of a mystery, perhaps.
Oh, God.
To digest, shall we say?
I did actually make banana bread and bring it over, but Chris didn't want any, so...
I had a pretty big breakfast, and I'm trying to start watching everything I eat again, so the calorie control is super tight once more.
Okay.
Speaking of food, this episode's book is Murder Gone Awry. That is A-RYE by Nancy J. Parra, or Parra.
Parra.
Nice Parra.
Yeah, so, this book, Chris's girlfriend?
Sure, yeah.
Girlfriend. Chris's girlfriend discovered just walking through a bookstore, and it was so stupid, Chris decided he made an executive decision that we had to read it.
We were kind of explicitly looking for some terrible books. That was kind of like the second time I ever went out with her. I was like, hey, let's look at terrible books together, because that's how you charm the ladies really well.
So anyway, she found this glorious book. It's
that's a strong word for what's happening.
It's the second book in the Baker's Treat Mysteries series by Nancy J. Parra. So, in reading this book, we discovered that apparently food-based subgenres are a thing.
Food-based mysteries in particular.
What the fuck?
If you look on the inside cover, you start seeing blurbs from other authors that support the work, I guess we could say.
Yeah.
And they all have the subtitle of, like, their particular mystery series. So there's this, like, cabal of food-based mystery writers.
Like, what the fuck? So this book... Oh, yeah, that's right. We didn't even tell you. This book is specifically part of a gluten-free mystery series.
Yes.
Because... that's a thing that now exists.
The first book in the series was Gluten for Punishment.
Yeah, this one is Murder Gone Awry, which I take offense to.
Offense?
Yeah. Well, no, I just have a problem with it because there's no rye in this whole story. There's no fucking rye.
True.
No rye. No rye at all.
I think she baked a bread at some point.
No,
of some
she didn't.
kind.
She's just been baking pies and cupcakes and muffins and shit. There's no rye to speak of.
Yeah, well, I guess they're really reaching for the puns a lot on these things, because so I have a little game that we're going to play.
Oh, okay.
Here.
Sorry, I was getting my coffee.
All of these books have...
I gotta move this fucking cushion. No, go ahead. Sorry, I'm just uncomfortable on this couch.
Let Paris get comfortable.
Oh, the last time I moved this cushion, I found a terrible surprise, so...
Yeah, let's not mention the terrible surprise underneath the cushion. That's your own mystery, listeners. Send in your ideas for what was under the cushion.
Let's just say Chris's couch holds many secrets. Anyway.
Yeah, that's what we'll say. Anyway, back to the game I'd like to play, based on Two Truths and a Lie, or perhaps Horseweed Mind's Eye from Oh Yeah Dude, a favorite podcast of mine.
Yeah, and mine.
Maybe I'm kind of ripping their game a little bit, but I'm going to list a few books from a specific series. Like, they're all going to be under one theme. And you're going to have to pick out the title that I made up.
Oh, damn it. Okay. So I'm picking the one that's not real.
Yeah, only one of them is one that I made up, because I'm not as good of a punner, let's say, as some of these authors. I'm going to give you the theme beforehand, even though it'll be pretty obvious to pick out what the idea is. I have 6 separate things. So now you have a choice to make here. You can either I've made it so that there are 3 choices with one lie or 6 choices with one lie.
All right, well, let's start with the 3 and see how I do.
Yeah, I'll list the other titles that I had as an option after the fact anyway. So let's start with the Cheese Lovers series.
Oh, okay.
So here are some titles for you. I'll give you 2 titles, or 3 titles, and one of them will be one that I made up.
Okay.
And you have to decide which one. As Gouda as Dead. Provolone and Afraid. And Lost and Fondue.
Oh, you had to have made up Provolone and Afraid.
You're actually right. Yeah.
Yes.
What's your reasoning behind that?
Because it was too funny to actually be a bad author pun.
It was too good.
Oh, that was too good. Provolone and Afraid.
Please bear with me if my mic level is clipping here. I'm kind of watching as we record. I'm sort of riding the mic level. Other books in the Cheese Lover series include, these are real, To Brie or Not to Brie.
Oh, God.
For Cheddar or Worse. And a personal favorite of mine, The Long Quiche Goodbye.
Fuck!
I believe a quiche is an egg thing, right? That's not even like really, it's got to have some cheese in it. But
it's like an
cheese. Egg fritter.
It's like an egg and cheese, like souffle fritter. I don't know. I'm not that great.
Okay, all right. Let's go.
Next one.
Do you still want 3 or 6 from here?
We'll do all the 3s first, and then we'll do the 6.
I have 6 for every single. You have the option of every single.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Let's stick with 3 for this one.
Okay, so this is the comfort food series.
Okay.
Do or Diner, Chicken Fried Homicide, Macaroni and Freeze.
Okay, you made a macaroni and freeze.
What's your reasoning there?
Because I don't know. It's just like too ludicrous.
Okay. It is not Macaroni and Freeze.
Fuck.
Macaroni Freeze is a very real title. I made up Chicken Fried Homicide.
Oh, damn. Okay.
Other titles in this series include A Second Helping of Murder, It's a Wonderful Knife, and Diners, Drive-Ins, and Death, which is actually a play on a Guy Fieri reality show title. So that's,
really?
Yes.
Oh, that makes it so much worse.
Okay.
Oh, man.
3 or 6 for this next one. I'm going to ask you every time.
Let's go up to 6.
For this
I know I failed one, but I don't care.
Okay, this one is, so I'll go with one of my personal favorites here, the Soup Lovers series.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So you have to pick out the one lie.
Okay, guys, also, people listening to this realize these are all actual subgenres of mysteries. I'm just driving it home because I couldn't believe it.
I would say themes more than subgenres, because they're all mysteries. They're all murder mysteries.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I guess it's the theme. Anyway, continue.
There's a lot of murder mysteries here. Okay, so here's 6 Soup Lovers mysteries to choose from. See if you can spot what I made up. A Spoonful of Murder.
Okay.
A Roux of Revenge.
Pretty good.
A Broth of Betrayal. A Bisque Worth Taking. A Clue in the Stew. And Ladle to the Grave.
Oh, man. I'm going to say you made up Bisque.
A Bisque Worth Taking?
Yeah.
I did indeed make up a Bisque Worth Taking. You're pretty good on this one.
All right. Well, 2 out of 3 isn't great.
Okay, what was your reasoning there?
I don't... Wait.
You're going purely by instinct. This is gut stuff for you.
Yeah, I feel like it might be. Well, because I felt like, in the list it was like, all right. Well, that one didn't specifically sound like murder, I think is the thing.
Okay.
That got
me. Yeah, that one was actually the toughest one for me to come up with
it was a good one. It was a good one, but
this isn't my forte, so.
Yeah, nor would it be mine.
All right, the next one is the Cupcake Baker's Mystery Series. Would you like 3 or 6?
6.
All right.
6.
Someone's confident.
No, I just want to hear all the stupid titles.
Well, I was going to say all the titles no matter what.
Yeah, I know, but anyway.
Okay, here we are. Sprinkle with Murder, Sugar and Iced, Death by the Dozen, Lemon Drop Dead, Vanilla Beaned, and Red Velvet Revenge.
Oh my god, please tell me you made up Vanilla Beaned.
No, I did not make up Vanilla Beaned.
Oh, Jesus Christ! Oh, why?
I made up Lemon Drop Dead.
Really?
Yes,
okay.
that was my contribution to this mystery series.
Oh, wow. Okay.
All right, we got 2 more series here. This next one was just kind of like a general food based. They didn't really have like a unifying food theme. It was just all. It was like the Golden Bear series or something, but they were all food-based titles.
Bear? But
I don't understand either. I don't.
Oh, okay.
It was just generally a food. 3 or 6 for this one.
6.
All right. catering to nobody, the main corpse, a murder for two, chopping spree, double shot, and grilling season.
What was the first one again?
I believe that was catering to nobody.
That's dumb. Sorry. Okay. Catering to no one, grilling season.
Yes. Chopping spree.
Chopping spree.
A murder for two.
Murder for two.
Main corpse. And double shot.
Fuck.
Yeah, this one's a little too wide of a variety.
I don't know which one you made up.
Give me a guess. This is all gut stuff.
I know. Grilling season was my first.
Okay, that is a real one. Oh, I made up a murder for two.
Damn it! That was gonna be my fuck. I'm so mad at myself.
All right, last one.
All right.
This one I save for last in particular because it's a very weird series. It is the White House Chef series.
What?
White House Chef series.
Are you what?
With titles such as Foreign Eclairs.
Oh Jesus.
State of the Onion. Fonduing Fathers.
What?
Meet the Press, as in meat. Like,
yeah.
Executive Orders. And Home of the Braised.
Oh my God. This is like a combination of everything bad. It's like political intrigue, murder mystery, and food murder mystery.
Yep.
Oh, yep. Wow. Okay.
Anything jumping out at you right away?
Oh, Jesus. My stomach is grumbling. Hopefully no one can hear that.
Apt for this food-based
yeah, really.
podcast. People can be hungry after listening to this. Yeah. I apologize.
All right, everybody. So we have executive
orders.
Home of the Braised.
Home of the Braised. State of the Onion. Foreign Eclairs. Fonduing Fathers. And
what the fuck is fonduing? Oh, like founding? Yeah. Like that's such a stretch.
And Meet the Press.
I'm gonna say that you made up.
Real hard. You could get a 3 out of 6.
Sorry, what was the first one?
I think that was Foreign Eclairs or Executive Orders.
Foreign Eclairs.
You're gonna say I made up Foreign Eclairs?
Yes.
Okay, that was a real one.
Oh, Jesus.
I made up Meet the Press.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, I thought that was definitely real.
No, that was actually, I had a lot of trouble getting one for that one too. And might I note that I was surprised that there wasn't any sort of like butcher shop based murder mysteries, which seems really obvious.
No, they're I think that was in the cover.
I didn't see any sort of meat based.
Wait, give me that.
Here you go.
I feel like I remembered something like that.
Apologies if I'm clipping a little bit here, but I'm trying to really ride the levels as we're recording. But I'm pretty.
I'm crazy.
Yeah, I looked quite a while for.
Yeah, that seems weird.
Butchery-based murder series because it seems so obvious to me. But yeah, I guess not.
The ones noted in the cover are like fresh fiction, soup lovers mysteries, gourmet delight mysteries, chocoholic mysteries, cheese shop mysteries.
I almost went for the chocolate ones, but like there's a lot in that series, and I kind of couldn't come up with any other puns based on chocolate.
Yeah, I mean. So, all right, so that was fun.
You did a pretty decent job. There was a couple ones where you picked it out. Oh, yeah, 2 out of 6, you guessed.
That was not good. It's not a good.
I mean, based on how stupid the other titles are.
Oh, yeah.
But this isn't supposed to be profound reading. It's clearly like just pulp lit, like you buy in an airport or something to read a quick story.
It's supposed to just kind of be like fun, whatever. But it's, I mean, a consequence of it not trying to be serious is that it's really bland.
Yeah, that's the basic problem I have with this book. While functionally, not entirely.
No, the end is really bad.
For the most part, it's
super lazy.
The plot proceeds in a fashion, but it's not necessarily exciting or.
And a lot of stuff happens that it's one of those like that would never happen in real life kind of a thing.
Sure. So how about you set up a little bit of the general plot here?
So Toni is the main character, Toni. She's a 40-year-old single woman that had recently divorced. She had to move back to her hometown of Oiltop, Kansas because she didn't have to, but she decided to.
That's where her family's from.
She decided to move back to her hometown and start up a gluten-free bakery because she was living in she had been living in Chicago, and she caught her husband cheating on her with his best friend's wife, like very cliche.
This was like
caught them in bed.
Yeah, in the first book in the series.
Yeah.
Like they make a couple of references to it, but I don't feel like you really needed to know what happened in the first book.
No.
Besides, like, she divorced her husband
and then moved back, and then
there was some murder mystery that like people thought she was the murderer or something because someone was drowned or something.
No. Her best friend Tasha's boyfriend was the crazy murderer and was stalking everyone. I don't know.
That's about as far as it goes for continuity.
Yeah, so it's not necessary to really. So it's. I feel like it doesn't really feel. I don't know if it's a series just because it deals with the same characters.
Yeah,
but
that's 100% what.
It's pretty weird that there would be all these mysteries needing to be solved in a fucking some out of the way tiny town in Kansas.
That's how literally every mystery series has ever worked ever.
Yeah, sure. it's just stupid. It would be one thing if they were just mysteries, but the fact that they're murder mysteries makes it really hard to believe. Makes it really unrealistic. Just because small town like this doesn't have murders all the time. Like, it's just not a thing.
Yeah, usually in these kind of books, it's like the first couple like really rock the town, then like the 7th or 8th is happening, it's still like a huge deal. It's like, guys, we've been having bodies pop up for like
it doesn't make any
months
sense
now.
I mean, it'd be one thing if it were like all of Kansas or like a big city like LA or Boston, but like just
it's a really small town. It seems like it's like
I think it's based on Hilltop, Kansas,
probably
because Oiltop doesn't exist. And what I found out by reading an interview with the author about this series is that it's just a whole big it's actually her life because she has no creative mind. So she actually has a Grandma Ruth who was actually like this.
Oh.
The main character is this Mary Sue self-insert.
Oh.
Yeah. Even the dog, well, she doesn't have a Great Pyrenees, but the puppy in all the dog in all of her other so she writes other terrible series.
Yeah, she has some kind of romance series.
She has a romance series. She has a bridal themed murder series.
Sure, why not?
And there's a couple other ones. I don't remember what the theme is.
Themed murder mystery writing is what she seems to do.
But weirdly, she has a different pen name for each series.
Yeah, people
it's
do
like
that. Nancy
J. Parra, Nancy Coco for the Fudge mystery series she has. That one has her literal dog in it. It's like actually her. Like, I looked at the covers and the dog is on all of them, and it's like this little, I don't know, it looks like a Bichon mix or Bichon maybe.
All right, yeah.
And she calls it.
Well, right what you
dog.
know, I guess.
That's what she said in her interview, Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what people say to do. So I mean,
but and she's like, oh yeah, I grew up in Kansas. I had a Grandma Ruth. I had a big family, just like Tony, and like.
When she says she has a Grandma Ruth, maybe she means she had someone like Grandma Ruth and not a literal.
No, I'm pretty sure it said she had a grandma named Ruth who was just like this.
She was an investigative journalist that got around on a scooter and was as wide as she is tall.
She was, well, everything except the investigative journalist part was true. She lost her license because she was a crazy driver and she had to have a little, I think it was like a bike or a scooter, and her dad put a little flag on it, just like in the story.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So kind of
yeah.
One of I guess like the most unique or like the hook I would say in this book at all. The only point of interest is Grandma Ruth, the grandma that gets around in a scooter and is very energetic. Might not be the best word, but
she's
wound up about solving this mystery.
Yeah, I mean, the series, it's definitely supposed to be funny and silly, and the whole book is puns. Yes. So if you like puns, I guess, but I found it really fucking annoying and grating and just bad writing. It's not good writing. If everything is a pun, it's just not great.
Well, I mean, like, these books and this author probably does just a lot of like really quick pulp reads that aren't meant. They're just meant for a distraction for a day or two, because I clipped through this book probably quicker than a lot of other books that we've read.
Yeah, Paul was just like playing Skyrim. I don't know why. He just started playing old Skyrim, and I was like, oh, perfect. I got to finish this book. I read from page 26 to page like 200 and probably about 260. So I read like 270 or 250 pages or something in just one sitting, and then I finished it.
Kind of mostly what I did,
Like,
too. I just found a spot where I was like, well, I don't have anything to do for 3 or 4 hours. Let's just clip through this whole thing.
Yeah, it was really fast.
If she's making a living off of this, good for her.
Yeah, I mean, if you can make your living off of, like, really mediocre writing that you don't have to put much thought into, then that's awesome, because you don't have to do much and you make bank, right?
I don't know how many people are buying these things besides myself. Like,
I guess that's always the question for me is how are there so many people into all these different weird food themed mysteries that there's a market for it? But there must be a market for it because
they keep putting them out. I think at a certain level it's about like an output thing where like you just kind of hit as many niches as you can and someone will eventually pick it up, which is a thing that I've heard works if you're writing like Kindle, Amazon erotica to sell to people.
Oh yeah, people are super into that too.
Apparently you just write as many as you can, put them all out for like $1 each, and eventually it all adds up in the end to like a decent income if you can.
So weird.
I've heard that you have to like basically be outputting like one story a week or something like that.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
But if you can do that, cool.
I mean, we read a couple of those. We read that lion book.
Yeah.
Oof, that was bad. Actually, my friend, I think I'm allowed to out her. My friend Elisa.
Let's be careful here.
She's my publishing world contact.
Some insider baseball here on Terrible Book Club.
She's great. She's the one that tipped us off to the Terrible Lion book, and she recommended that I actually bake something from this book for the show today. And
sneaky backroom info. We're meeting in garages behind the libraries.
No. We used to work together, so that's our connection. But anyway, so I was like, yeah, that's a great idea, and I intended to do that. But we weren't even supposed to record today because Chris didn't think he was going to have time.
Yeah, something fell through.
So I got up this morning and just made some banana bread, like regular ass banana bread. I just threw it together. I'd never made it before, but that's how it goes. You have bananas lying around, you get some flour, you make banana bread. So I made it, and then we ended up recording today. So
yeah,
I made a gluten-full recipe for today accidentally. So sorry, Elisa, I kind of mostly failed you. But to be fair, the recipe is given in the back of this book. So yeah, this author is actually she has celiac disease, so that was why she chose to write this whole gluten-free thing. And she has some recipes in the back, most of which I think are kind of bullshit because
they're using like a lot of store-bought,
it's just like instead of being inventive and making a dessert that doesn't even require flour, so you don't even have to worry about it. She's just like, buy the Bisquick gluten-free flour and make this regular ass recipe.
I mean, it's probably a pain in the ass to make gluten-free flour, and I think in the preparation of gluten-free stuff, there's just like a lot of different ways you have to handle things, which was brought up in the book, actually.
Yeah.
There's a lot of moments in the book where she just decides to give you baking tips on like how to handle gluten-free flour or dough or something like that.
And she also says, I didn't have time to look this up because we just kind of decided to record this today sort of last minute. But she says that there's gluten in like vanilla extract and ketchup, and I was like, dude, how is that even possible?
Ketchup, I can believe it, because like consumer store-bought ketchup, it's definitely going to have some additives in it to like make the consistency a certain way, and probably a little bit of that is like some gluten kind of based thing.
Yeah, but it's not on the label, and why would they put, I don't know, it just seems a little weird.
It's probably like not enough to like maybe actually trip some regulations, but it might be enough for certain people with celiac disease.
Yeah, if they actually have celiac disease, I get that, but this is probably going to bring me to a soapbox rant about how I don't believe all you motherfuckers out there who are constantly
throwing down the fucking bone.
I'm gluten-free, I can't eat gluten, I don't have celiac, but just every time I eat bread, I'm just in the bathroom shut up. No. The rest of your bad eating is probably why you don't feel good when you eat, if you're eating a shit ton of bread, you're probably also eating a shit ton of, burgers and fats and like all kinds of other stuff that are not good for you in large quantities. It's like, I don't know, that's just my theory, but It's these people who just want to feel
not so much
special.
a theory, because there's been a lot of scientific studies that say gluten intolerance really isn't a thing. Celiac disease absolutely 100% is.
It totally is, and I know people that have it.
It is good in a way that, like, sort of the gluten intolerance thing became a fad because it allowed for more options for people actually with celiac disease.
Yeah.
So there's kind of a positive turn from all of that.
Absolutely, because I know some people who really do have celiac, and it sucks for them.
Excuse me if I got distracted for a second, because I just got a text message saying my mixes for the Third Grade Born album just got in. So that's going to be a fun thing to do. Hooray! I'm so excited after this episode. That's a little sidebar.
Yay!
But let's get back to the plot. How about now?
Because no. I still have some shit to say about people without celiac. So if you have celiac disease, yeah, I know some of you. Some of you are my good friends, and that sucks. Like, I watch you guys struggle to order things at restaurants and like feel like you have to make everything at home because you're afraid of getting really sick, and that sucks. Like, I understand that, but there are so many people I encounter on a daily basis who will sit there and try to fucking tell me that they don't have celiac disease, but they're gluten intolerant. They can't handle gluten. It's bullshit. It's not real. Like, have you read any scientific studies? Have you had any testing done? Like, look, man, I know that science isn't perfect. We don't know everything, but I really believe that a lot of people jump on this train because they just don't educate themselves. They have no idea that gluten is not something that's evil and bad for you. And they're like, oh, it's healthy to not eat gluten, so I'm gluten-free. It's like, fuck you. You don't know anything. Shut up, eat a piece of bread. If you ate something that, I swear to God, these are the people that if you fed them,
a fucking nerve
if you
over
fed
here.
them something with gluten in it and didn't tell them, they wouldn't know, and nothing would happen.
Is this how you get when you don't eat?
No,
like,
well, I am actually
rumbly?
really. No, it's just because I have to deal with it.
I'm teasing.
No, it's just because I don't know why. Actually,
did a gluten intolerant person like attack you? And
no, I think that I run into it a lot because I'm a stupid vegetarian, so I'm always looking up
as opposed to those smart vegetarians.
Yes, as you know who. No.
I went to stupid vegetarian university.
No, I like to poke fun at it because I'm not a crazy person, but I eat vegetarian. I try to eat.
Most people with diet restrictions aren't really that much of an asshole about it, and people
like,
that
I'm not a dick,
reactionary about it are like the real assholes about it.
Yeah. So anyway, because I'm always looking up like vegan and vegetarian stuff, like I try to eat as vegan as I can, but I mostly eat vegetarian because cheese is great. I mean, I know.
Cheese is wonderful.
Those of you that are vegan are gonna vilify me. I know.
If I suddenly turned lactose intolerant, it would be probably the worst thing to ever happen to me.
It's very possible because your body can run out of the enzyme that processes it.
Shit.
It happened to my coworker.
God damn it.
Yeah, she it happened to my coworker. She now can't eat dairy anymore because her body ran out of the enzyme to process it.
That's a terrible fate.
Fucking crazy. So, anyway. Sorry. So I just seem like I run into a lot of recipes for gluten-free shit because I don't know, some people that are vegetarian and vegan also have those same like bad ideas that it's like, you know, oh, you're a bad person if you eat differently from me. And yeah, they want to be healthy, but then they just end up on the wrong path.
Once people think that they have found the right way of living, they tend to want to evangelize to others about how they should be living their lives too.
Yeah.
Because it comes from a sort of genuine place of, I want to help other people feel as good as I do about things like this. If you just do this, you'll feel great.
Yeah.
If, something like that. But it fails to take into account that literally everybody has slightly different body chemistry.
Yeah. I mean,
it should be more. Like, you should follow advice from friends that you trust and stuff, but in the end, it's more about taking all the information in around you and coming to a conclusion for yourself more than, well, my one friend or this one scientist or one researcher said something that I tend to agree to.
Yeah, and
predisposition. That
I just think that a lot of people become very misguided when they get excited about something, and that can go for a lot of things. But I think that it just really bothers me because I see it everywhere. It's on like. Everything now has gluten-free. Like, oh, this polar seltzer is gluten-free, Chris. Chris, look at your polar seltzer right now and tell me.
Calorie-free, 100% natural, family-made since 1987.
Oh, is it not on the new ones?
Maybe not. I mean, like...
no, it says it. It says it. I see it. Look above the nutrition facts. Above.
Contains no juice, sugar, sodium... Oh, yep, right there, gluten-free.
Yep, gluten-free. It's like things that just don't even need to be labeled as gluten-free are all labeled as gluten-free as like this weird marketing thing because it's become a popular misconception that it's healthier.
I don't think it's that so much as just like... even things that obviously don't have gluten, maybe some very ignorant person that wants to be gluten-free might not understand. And I guess it is marketing in the end.
Yeah.
Because, of course, water doesn't have gluten in it.
Right. But I mean, I think it's great.
It's
for people who have celiac disease,
then that person is more likely to buy your shit.
Yeah,
so, like,
exactly.
It's true. They're not lying. There definitely is no gluten in this water.
No, they're not lying, but it creates this. It's like a scare tactic for everything else that doesn't have.
We're like 20 minutes to a half an hour into this episode. We haven't even begun to fucking talk about the book.
I'm gonna shut up. For those of you that have celiac disease, sorry, I know that sucks shit. For those of you fucking weirdos that are just really trying to be gluten-free, get out of here. I don't want to know you.
One day, some gluten-free, like gluten intolerant claiming to be person, like made your life a living hell for a day, and now you're...
No, I just overhear it a lot, and I see it a lot on cooking.
All right,
websites.
well let's get into the plot of this book.
Anyway,
Tony lives in Oiltop, Kansas, and with her grandma Ruth. She has a house that is like her family house and has like 1 billion rooms or some shit.
Yeah, it's this huge ass house.
And like her family comes by to visit sometimes. Grandma Ruth is a sort of like this scootering about investigative journalist type, or she used to be.
She used to be an investigative journalist.
Now she just has a blog on the internet and she likes to figure out murders or mysteries.
She's in her 90s, so she needs stuff to keep her busy.
Very energetic for a 90-year-old. Gets the fuck around. Even in the scooter, like even when she gets up off the scooter, she has a walker, but she still gets around.
So you got Tony who opened the gluten-free bakery. So like a lot, like Chris was saying, a lot of it is her running the bakery with her assistant Megan. And who
requisite punky alt chick.
Yeah, that was something I found very odd in this book.
Maybe she has a friend or a daughter who's like got a bunch of tattoos and piercings.
Yeah, well, she doesn't mention any tattoos, but she does have some piercings.
I think she talks about getting a tattoo soon or something like that. But she's definitely like she just described as like always in like fishnets and
corsets and
skirts kind of thing.
Boots,
alt girl character who helps at the bakery and like sometimes gets involved in the hijinks with Grandma Ruth here and there.
No,
Grandma
really.
Ruth has a buddy, Aunt Phyllis, who's not really an aunt, but like is the aunt that is a friend of your mom, so you call her aunt.
No, Ruth adopted her. That's the deal.
Yeah, okay.
So she's adopted Aunt Phyllis, and Aunt Phyllis is pretty cool, but she and Grandma get into a bunch of hijinks, and the whole mystery. So there's actually 2 mysteries from 2 very different decades that are happening simultaneously in the book. So the first mystery from the 50s is not the town founder, but the
town hero.
Yeah, guy that became the town hero, and his best friend. They basically became really famous and wealthy because they were in a war together. I don't know if it was World War II or if it was the Korean War.
War.
Yeah, they didn't actually specify, but I think it was supposed to be World War II is my guess. And in World War II, Hutch Everett, again, the name Everett popping up in our book, and also this book is in Kansas, which is also in the last book. Very weird.
It's the literal middle of America.
Yeah,
it's
Kansas and Everett's. I don't know. They're very common.
It's literally as central or Midwest America as you can get.
Yeah. So they're in the war together. It's Hutch Everett and his friend Champ Rogers. And Hutch does something very heroic, and Champ is there to kind of remember it, and Champ was a very good storyteller. So
Hutch was like in a platoon, and he saved his men by doing some generic brave act that I kind of forgot what it was.
Yeah, me too.
Good soldier, comes back to the town. He's like the football hero and the soldier guy, so he's like the best American you can be possible at all times. Like
he's super Captain America. So, so because of his bravery,
I threw a football at that dang Nazi, and they
basically. So because of his bravery and Champ's ability to tell the story so well, they end up getting removed from active service, and they just tour the country telling the story, which I think is fucking insane. I don't think it's a thing that's ever happened.
I mean, that literally happened in the Captain America movie, and it's probably
really
based,
okay, maybe
it's based on things that like they would do USO tours for like especially brave or like well-known soldiers because they're more useful as a PR person at that point than like a grunt in the army or something like that.
So and there's some discussion that it probably never happened, but they just made it up to get out of service.
That's not really a point.
But it's nothing that really gets proven.
He is literally just uber America football soldier man that done good the whole time.
Yeah. So they come back to the town. They erect a statue of the guy. He's so famous.
He has like his own history section in City Hall, like specifically like his files or some shit.
Yeah, it's very weird.
That boy don't throw a football good, let me tell you.
Yeah, I don't understand why him being... I mean, I get that, he could be like a town hero, but the kind of the lengths that it gets to are... Oh, the heights that it gets to are a little ridiculous. Like Chris is saying, he has his own section of his own journals, and I forget what else he did. He did good things for the town, right? He donated.
He had a lot of money, and he invested in a lot of things. His son is like kind of a character in the present day, and he's very well connected in the town. He's sort of like the biggest mover and shaker. He's on like the board of commerce or something.
Yeah, so the whole family is like wealthy and has their kind of their fingers in everything in town because of the father's philanthropy, I guess. So his secretary, Lois, she always took his dictation for his journal,
which is weird.
Really
to me.
Weird.
Like your private journal, you would like have your secretary write down. It doesn't seem like it's very private.
Yeah,
but then again, continue with.
So she was always really close to the family and was his personal secretary. So obviously everyone thought they were having an affair, but
they kind of were. They were, weren't they?
No.
They were. I thought they were.
No.
She gets really mad later on because...
No.
Oh, okay. So this was like a really foggy point.
So it was a red herring basically the whole time. Yeah. And so the initial mystery is like, okay, so there's this weird relationship going on, and then
Grandma Ruth
Rogers dies.
Yeah. Champ is
murdered, and there's like some people think that Hutch Everett murdered him. But nobody knows why. The weapon was never found. Hutch Everett had this reward out for his for the killers, for information on the killer, and that never gets solved.
Kind of gets
flash forward,
eventually swept under the rug.
70 years later, Lois, the secretary, is found murdered on the front lawn of the Chamber of Commerce where the statue is of Hutch Everett.
And there's some scooter tracks.
And
Grandma Ruth is a known arch enemy of Lois.
Yeah, which they never really elaborate on.
I forget. Yeah, I don't really remember why
they're like, oh, they're arch enemies, but no one really. I think it was just because Lois kind of ran the Chamber of Commerce and thought she was the fucking, the bee's knees, and Grandma Ruth, they don't come from a wealthy family, so and she was kind of a questioner and somebody who poked the bear, quote unquote.
Grandma Ruth likes to get the pot stirred.
Right.
Stirred pot. That's another mystery title somewhere. I bet.
Of course, they try to figure out, they think the mystery, the murders are related because at the time, Grandma Ruth was doing some investigation into the old murder, and Lois was about to tell her, sorry, I just hit the mic. Yeah. Lois was about to tell her something that would break the case wide open, and then Lois ends up dead before she can tell her. So, I guess we should just talk about what actually, how the mysteries get solved, and then we can talk about how shitty the book is, because I feel like the mystery isn't that the end. Let's talk about the end of it later.
Yeah, that's the way really it wraps up, just kind of
really
makes everything
stupid.
Really shitty, and even all the build. So the only way that any investigating gets done is Grandma Ruth rolls up to Tony's bakery or the house or something. She's like, "We're gonna do this shit, and you're gonna have to help me, or else." I don't know what the consequence
she
is.
Tries to she blackmails Tony constantly or guilts her, not blackmail.
Much at all.
Guilts her into doing
She'll
things.
be like, "Oh, I'll end up in jail because Grandma was taken in for questioning and thrown in jail for a night at a time." But this happens 4 times throughout the book, and it's always used as sort of the piece of blackmail. If you let me go on my own, I'm more likely to get caught and end up in jail, and you wouldn't have that, would you, Tony?
Yeah, I think she actually ends up in prison once, and they take her in for questioning another time.
But so the threat of it is always.
So Grandma Ruth is always doing all this sleuthing and getting caught all the time. She's not very good at not getting caught, and there's breaking and entering. They actually do some real crimes.
Yeah, I think
to try to figure this out.
And Tony commit more crimes in the end, but more minor crimes, you could say.
Yeah, it's just really odd how they treat all these offenses as or just a funny grandma investigating. Like, no, that's
also,
actually
like Tony's a total pushover.
Yeah,
there's
she's
a
terrible.
scene like in the beginning where grandma is like, she wants to watch her like grandson in the Macy's Day Parade because he has like a position in the marching band or something.
Oh, yeah, they have a family of like 52 people. Or
yeah, it's like a giant family, of course. But anyway, and then she's like, oh, I want to watch it on something better than my cell phone, like one of those new iPads which you're going to buy for me, Tony. And then Tony just like accepts that she's going to have to buy this thing, the iPad, even though no threat or anything at all.
Well, it's
but she puts it as like, grandma got one over on me again.
Yeah,
it's like, no, she fucking did. Just say no.
So the whole thing is that like grandma has, given the family this house is in the technically I think probably belongs to grandma. Even though she doesn't live there anymore.
I think the
so maybe
deed
not.
was handed over to Tony in the end.
Yeah. But the idea is that, grandma adopted all these kids and she took care of everyone for so long, so we owe her forever is kind of the thing.
Yeah.
Which I think is sort of bullshit.
I always hate that reasoning when it comes to families.
I don't subscribe to that. Neither does Chris.
It was your fucking choice to have a child, so you're obligated to raise it up.
Yeah, but they're not. I don't think they're obligated to do anything for you, really. So
maybe if they're a nice person to you and they've been nice
sure.
their whole life, yes, you should fucking take care of your grandparents. But
someone
who pushes you around a lot and like guilts and blackmails you into going on to investigative
crime sprees,
like breaking and entering into City Hall like twice over at least.
Seems kind of fucked up. And so the main character really sucks in a lot of ways. Like that's one of the ways she really sucks. She's not a strong character at all. I mean, not that everyone is, so maybe it's sort of realistic.
Grandma Ruth is the one that does things, and Tony just kind of like cleans up after her or follows her.
So, but maybe, even though she's not a good role model, maybe it's realistic because a lot of people are like that.
True.
A lot of people are huge pushovers and they let their family walk all over them because family and blood ties.
Yeah, but I also don't feel like there's a character arc at all. Like,
no, there's
no development. No one changes.
Nope.
At all. No one learns a lesson.
No development. No one learns a lesson. Nothing.
I don't think even like the killer technically learns a lesson or whatever.
No. So back to the mystery. So like I said, you got Hutch Everett. His best friend, Champ Rogers, is mysteriously killed. They don't find the killer. And then 60, 70 years later, his secretary her head gets smashed in, actually, outside of City Hall. So what actually happened is that Hutch Everett had a wife, Susan. They, for some reason, were unable to get pregnant, and Susan blamed Hutch. She tried to seduce Champ Rogers, his best friend, and because Champ was a womanizer, she was like, "Oh, it's gonna be easy." But Champ was like, "No, you're my best friend's wife. That's
even
fucking
I have
weird."
my limits.
Yeah, he's like, "No." So she kills him in a fit of rage, not realizing that Champ, or maybe realizing that Champ had gotten Lois pregnant. Champ and Lois were in love.
Yes.
Susan kills Champ. Hutch protects his. Lois protects Susan.
Yes.
Because
she likes
Lois
the family.
So even though Susan killed her boyfriend, Lois doesn't want to raise the child alone and doesn't want to have an abortion because Christianity in Kansas, I guess.
Yep.
And so she gives the child to Susan and Hutch to raise as their own. So it's kind of like, we're even now, even though I wouldn't feel that way. I think it's
and that
insane.
child is the son that's in
that child.
Harold, I think his name was.
No,
Homer.
Homer.
Oh, wait, Homer's the dad.
Oh, you're right. Oh, sorry, I screwed that up. It's Homer Everett. Hutch Everett is his son.
Yeah, Hutch is the son.
And then
Homer's
Harold
the dad.
is the grandchild.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Fucking H-men over here.
Yeah, sorry. It's very confusing.
The worst mutant group there ever was, the H-men.
Yeah.
They just run a small town kind of shittily.
Yes, basically.
Their only mutant power.
Yep, that's it. They can
their
run
dad
a town.
can throw a football at a Nazi real good.
Yeah.
That's about it. I like how that's what I've reduced the character down to.
I mean,
is just someone beaning Nazis with
honestly,
a football.
that is kind of all we know about the character. So
throw that touchdown directly into Hitler's face, Homer.
So that's what happened. So Susan killed Champ because he wouldn't sleep with her and get her pregnant, and then Lois was already pregnant by Champ and couldn't bear to raise this child alone or have an abortion, so she gave it to Susan and Homer to raise as their own.
Which is also like a really...
And so Lois helped cover up the murder by hiding the gun that Susan used to kill Champ in the judge's chambers.
They were building like new walls, and she like added extra wall.
No, the whole extra wall was a ruse. So she was just like, oh, I don't know, there's a crack in the wall.
There's a lot of like red herrings in here that I like thought was the reason or something, and then in the end they're just like, not really.
Yeah, and so she ends up building, having this wall repaired when it didn't really need to be, and puts the gun in the wall, and nobody knows about it. Because she was the one that signed off on everything because she was Homer's assistant. She basically ran everything.
Yeah, and this is like the reasoning for Grandma Ruth breaking into City Hall all the time to steal the journals from City Hall.
She stole journals and she stole blueprints to see, because she's like, oh, there's the wall's 8-inch thicker now. That's like, there's definitely something in there. And anyway, so fast forward to all these many years later, Ruth is trying to figure out who killed Champ. Everyone really thinks it's Homer Everett. I mean, that would be the logical decision, but it's not. Even
though he's still like in good graces in the town's sort of like consciousness, no one really is like, oh, what a shitbag. They're all just like, yeah, Homer's great. The Everetts are great. Like,
yeah. So Ruth's trying to figure this out, and she thinks the gun's in the wall, and she's trying to get Lois to tell her about it. And before Lois can tell her who really killed him, Susan kills Lois.
Yes.
So Susan, crazy murderer. Or no, sorry. Susan's already dead. Amy, Hutch's wife, kills Lois. So every wife in the Everett family is a murderer.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
We really didn't get any of that plot straight at all over there.
Yeah, sorry. It was, because it was very
like,
poorly...
super interchangeable. Like, Amy and Susan are like the same.
Yeah, Susan's already dead at the start of the book. I forgot. But they're both evil wives of H. Everett, so it's really easy to confuse them, and they don't really have any personalities in the book.
Yeah, so they are just used as, like, even Amy at the end, who is the real murderer, I guess, like, she never appears in the book at all.
No.
I think she doesn't have a line.
She's just mentioned.
She doesn't physically appear ever.
So it's really poorly written. Like, the plot is really poorly done in that, like Chris is saying, there's all these red herrings, but not like for any reasons that make sense
or even add up to anything in the end.
The only thing that made sense was thinking, oh, Homer's definitely the murderer. Like, yeah, okay, that's the logical choice. I get that. Like, I understood all of that, like unpacking all of that, but it was really confusing because, like you were saying, these characters don't really ever appear, so it doesn't really feel like it means anything by the end.
Yeah.
And then the way it breaks.
Let's talk about how, like, in like the last 10 pages, it's literally like the last 10 or 15 pages.
Yeah, and it's
that things
real bad.
Wrap up. So Tony's having like a get together with her family. It's like Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it's Thanksgiving.
It's Thanksgiving, and she's like cooking up all her gluten-free turkey. I don't know what the fuck.
Yeah, I gotta make sure that turkey doesn't have gluten in it.
Yeah, or
well, she did make gluten-free stuffing, which makes sense.
Yeah, fine. That's all on good, but they're all gathered at the family, and so the Harold, right? Harold Everett is the one that shows up. The grandchild. He's like a punk kid. He's like 14.
Except they don't establish that at all in the rest of the book. The only way
he's like established as a punk kid is like slightly before this scene. Grandma Ruth is taken to the hospital because she climbed up the statue of Homer Everett looking for clues.
Which doesn't make any sense, but anyway.
She has to get a higher viewpoint or something. So the statue was greased up real good. Yeah. With like a silicone lubricant, because like it says like they have to
so here's
grease up the statue,
right? So here's so much of this scene, this whole thing connected to Grandma Ruth climbing a statue and falling and hurting herself doesn't make sense. So one, silicone greasing a statue, is that even a thing?
What? It's like a protective layer or something, but
here's the thing that doesn't make sense about it. So remember. So Tony is trying to get information about why the statue would be greased up because everyone thinks it's weird. And one of the sign maker in town is like, oh yeah, I made a sign for that. I cast it. It was a really good cast. It says
don't fucking climb the statue.
Don't climb the statue.
It's real.
But then they talk to the.
It's a real greasy statue, Ricky.
But then they talk to Hutch Everett, and he's like, "We don't grease the statue." So it's like, who commissioned that sign? Like, who commissioned that sign? Then did the kid do it?
The kid is the one that greased the statue up,
yeah,
right?
So did he also commission a sign? Yeah, but then they thought that
he like went to his dad's checkbook. He was like, "Oh yeah, my dad wants you to put up this don't climb the sign." Even though he greased up the statue in an effort to get Grandma Ruth out of the picture.
Right. So this is what All right, hang on a second.
I'm trying to parse this one.
Yeah, I know. It doesn't make any sense.
He greases up the statue because he expected Grandma Ruth to keep investigating, and he assumed she would climb the statue.
Right, because she thought she saw something. So my only thought was, remember how Tony finds his jewelry in the bushes?
Sure, yeah.
Do you think he balanced that on the top of Hutch's ear?
As like bait?
As bait?
Maybe. I guess that's the only thing.
But it was
remotely.
But it was never explained. So that's why I'm trying to figure it out here. So like, okay, so he. But why would it's like why would she? It sounds
like the statue greasing just happened to get Ruth in the hospital, so she would stop like constantly breaking into places, and like there would be like a moment of tension. Like it's like the one moment of tension in the book when it's like, oh no, Grandma Ruth's in the hospital. I was like, oh shit, did someone try to kill her?
Yeah,
and it's just like, no, she climbed a greasy statue.
Yeah, I mean, and so many things don't make sense. One, why would you climb a statue when you're 90 and can't even walk?
Two, why would the kid do that when climbing the statue wouldn't lead to any sort of evidence?
Yeah, and like, how would he know that she was going to do that? 4, what the fuck could possibly be on a statue that would be connected to a murder? Like,
maybe Grandma Ruth thinks like Lois got hit and like a piece of jewelry flew somewhere onto the statue, and that's like a good clue or something.
I know that people were saying that they thought she might have fallen out a window, but that didn't...
Yeah, there's nothing about it that makes sense ever. Down to like, why would Grandma decide to climb the statue? Why would the statue be greased? And even if it was for like, they had that sign there, it turns out that wasn't a thing at all.
Yeah, so much of it doesn't make any sense. So I'm
super confused about all of that.
Yeah, the author did a really bad job.
I think that was the only thing right there was to A, get Grandma Ruth out of the picture for a little bit, and B, set up Harold as a punky kid.
Yeah, except because it's like Harold is never even like.
It's described as like how he pranks people. I don't think he was even trying to like foil Grandma Ruth so much as like, oh, I want to catch someone falling off a statue with my phone.
Yeah, so here's the thing. So Harold, before this point, is only described as being kind of quiet and like not super sociable, but he's never described as having piercings or any of the things that sort of, quote, define him at the end of the book. He's not described as like having piercings or being rude or being a shithead, like at all. And it's just suddenly at the end of the book, he's all of these things. And you don't even know he has piercings. Yeah. You don't even know he has piercings until
you're focusing on that as like the main ideal of rebellion is like, oh, he's got a pierced ear, which would make sense for like a Midwest town.
No. I'm saying it doesn't make sense because if that had been any in the book because she describes everybody that is in the book, but then only says that he's kind of like a little heavyset, and doesn't talk about that as an intentional way to mask anyone from even thinking that was going to happen at the end of the book.
Or she just made it up at the end and like, threw it in.
And because there's this whole thing where Tony sees something shining in the bushes near the statue and just can't get to it. Every time she tries to look at it, she can't get to it. Like, if we had known he had piercings and there was something shining in the bushes, somebody could have pieced it together before the end of the book.
There's like a reasonable plot line, or like someone observer could have like guessed maybe or something like that.
But they didn't. It was just thrown together.
While we're on the topic of physical appearances, can we talk about the severe male objectification?
Well, no, we're gonna talk about that after we finish up with the bad ending.
Yeah, let's go through the bad ending. Yeah, but
so the real ending of the story is this kid, I don't know, tries to. Like Chris was saying,
he shows up at the house.
Oh yeah, so sorry. So let's finish up the statue thing.
He shows up at the house after Grandma has been taken to the hospital after the whole statue greasing incident.
On Thanksgiving,
with here's these cupcakes that cookies that I made for you guys. Here you go.
No, he was like, oh, here are these cookies. They were part of the prize for getting 3rd place in the float.
There was
race.
A float contest. That Tony's part of for like the annual Thanksgiving parade kind of float thing that's happening in town.
Yeah. They do like a mini Macy's Day Parade, and all the businesses get together and put floats together, and she won 3rd place. Woohoo. It's really good for her business. And he comes by because his family is the one that judges it, and judges it and hosts
some fucking cookies I made. Congratulations.
Yeah, even though that doesn't make any sense, because if nobody told you we're getting cookies, you're immediately suspicious.
Yes.
Why would this kid who clearly doesn't make anything come by and say, here's these cookies?
Also, that's a shitty 3rd prize.
Yeah, and it's a really shitty 3rd prize, so, like, it doesn't make any sense. And he brings her these cookies, and they're regular cookies with flour in them, so she's not going to eat them anyway. So...
I don't think he was... Like, here's the thing. Okay, so it turns out the cookies are laced with cyanide. Somehow.
Because the mother made them. Amy made them.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know if she just, like, got enough almonds in there to, like, make it a lethal dose.
No, cyanide smells like almonds.
I thought because there was literally, like, a little bit of cyanide in almonds. Like, very micro. I thought that's what it was. Like,
I think so, but, I mean, the amount you'd have to consume.
You would have to basically consume an ass ton of almonds to even begin.
Well, that's like it's in apples, right? Apple cores.
Yeah.
But, it doesn't make any sense. So the mother... Amy, the one who killed Lois, Amy Everett, she also baked these cookies with cyanide and sent them to a lady who has celiac disease. She's not going to eat them.
It's kind of
who are you going to kill? Who are you going to kill with those?
When Tony confronts Harold later, because Harold is the one like she confronts with, like, I figured it out and not Amy. For whatever reason, because he brought the cookies, I guess.
Well, yeah, but
she's like, anyone would have known that I'm gluten intolerant and would eat these cookies, you idiot. And that's like, well,
I mean, that does make sense because she owns a gluten-free bakery. Like, duh.
I know, so it's like kind of like exposing the bad writing in a way right there. But I also think it's kind of funny that like the way the protagonist fools the plot is like, my gluten intolerance has saved me.
Yeah, so so they find out the cookies are dangerous because she gets them and she looks at them and goes, oh, these probably aren't gluten-free.
It's like if the superhero's power was like lactose intolerance.
Yeah, so she leaves them on a low table kind of in the entryway, and the puppy, there's a puppy in this book, by the way. It's a Great Pyrenees puppy. It's real cute. Its name is Aubrey. I don't know. And there's also a kid with autism, and there's a whole thing about autism in this book, too, which is really dumb, and I hate it.
He finds the puppy, and he takes care of him, and he's, like, all upset about, like, the puppy being found in a hole.
Yeah, anyway, so the puppy, at this point in the book, is, like, a regular part of the family, and he gets into the cookies, and he eats, like, half a cookie and is, like, fucking super sick and dying on the floor, and so they take him to the vet, and the 14-year-old niece, like, one of the many kids in the family, picks up the cookie, sniffs it, and goes, I think it's cyanide.
Yeah,
I'm like,
she's like her fucking...
What 14 or 12-year-old... I think she's 12. What 12-year-old girl knows what cyanide smells like? Like, what the fuck?
I mean, the internet's a thing. Like, she's probably reading, like, horror stories or murder mysteries,
I don't know,
too.
maybe,
like,
but... and even
I had my, like, read the mind of a serial killer phase in, like, high school and shit, too.
I really... But I still didn't know what cyanide smelled like.
Yeah.
And it was just so funny because even the main character goes, it's really disturbing that the 12-year-old knows what cyanide smells like. Yeah, isn't it disturbing and weird?
Yeah,
we're just not going to go there, though?
She was wrapping up this book real quick and she just, like, thought that if she got her characters to say, like, that's weird and dumb, like, it would cover up how weird and dumb everything is.
Yeah, nope.
So once again, then Tony goes to confront Harold about the cookies and figuring out that it's his mom, Amy, that is the one that, like, behind all of this. And, like, Harold gets, like, grounded by his dad or something.
And so the weird thing is that even though they know Amy murdered Lois and baked these cookies, they don't talk about anything that happens to her.
Yeah, it's just like, well, we figured it out.
Then it turns out the kid... And it's so strange because... Tony, the main character, kind of figures out everything in this weird split-second epiphany she has.
In, like, a kind of a roundabout way.
And it doesn't make any sense as to how she would...
It's like that scene in Black Dynamite where they figure out the whole underarching plot. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but I'll show it to you after.
Yeah. And so, the whole thing makes no sense. And...
it comes together super sloppily...
Yeah, and then they're like, oh, by the way, he was torturing animals. He was going to be a serial killer. Good thing we caught him. Except he wasn't the one that did any of the murders.
Jail or juvie or anything. He's literally just, I swear to God, from what I remember, it's like, well, he's like on house arrest or he's grounded or something.
Yeah, he has like community service or something. But am I crazy? Like, did we miss a beat? Was it actually not the mother? And was it Harold that killed Lois and baked the cookies, but then just tried to blame his mom?
I don't think so.
That wasn't what was said in the book, right?
Yeah, neither of us have that. So. It was literally just like Harold was the like executor of Amy's plot.
Yeah, okay, so hang on. They arrested Amy Everett. So they arrested her.
Okay, so she fine.
Great. Okay, I didn't remember that. But like I don't get it.
It just comes together really quick in the end. It doesn't really quite hold together.
Nope.
Much like a gluten-free recipe.
Oh, yeah, no, if you do it right, you can make gluten-free things that are really good.
Yeah, if you write a murder mystery right, it can hold together,
yeah, too. That's true. Fuck you, Amy. Whatever, Amy. I almost called her Amy Parra. Nancy Parra, your book sucked. God, I mean, if you're going to write a shitty pulp book, fine, but at least make it make sense, please.
Yeah, like, it was fine kind of as it went along, but then everything that, like, I was, like, holding on to wasn't a big deal in the end or was a red herring. Like, the gun on the wall never really comes up again.
Yeah.
Or is, like, useful to the plot at all. It's, like, a literal Chekhov's gun that never gets used. Fucking, like... Just a bunch of stuff just, like, doesn't really matter in the end, and it comes down to just, like, oh, it was Harold and Amy plotting behind the scenes.
Yeah, and... Yeah.
Nothing in the story could have led you to, like, think up that it was those two.
Yeah. Which I think some people are under the impression, like, oh, that's what makes a good story. You couldn't have guessed anything. But, like, in reality... You should be able to guess some of it and not all of it.
There should be some clues that, like, point
there
you
are
to...
There are 0 clues. There are none. The number of clues? 0. No clues.
So yeah, yeah, I don't like this book.
Should be called a clue-free murder mystery because this shit sucked. But yeah, let's talk about the weird male objectification in this book. It's real creepy.
Yeah, so there's sort of 2 fellas that are pining for the heart of Tony.
She only got divorced like a couple months ago, so she's not ready to date.
Yeah, so she's like, I don't want to do any of this. And you have your 2 requisite, I guess, male stereotypes here. The money guy, lawyer money man, who is like well-groomed and well-dressed, and he's blonde and blue-eyed and like super kind of moneyed up.
He's like 6'5", he's like really tall.
Yeah, even though he's like not like a douche about his money, he's like supposed to be like, oh, he's coy. Like, I don't really care that I have all this money. I'm a lawyer type. I do good work and everything. Yeah. And then you have a cowboy guy with dark hair and his like flannel shirts that works in the field and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He is Sam, and I believe the lawyer guy is Brad.
Brad, yeah.
Or Bradley might be his last name or something.
Brad. I think it's Brad or Brian.
Anyway,
Brad.
Yeah, these 2 dudes are always basically showing up at the bakery or at her house and be like, "How you doing? You want a date yet? No? Well, I'm coming back later."
Yeah, so all they do is like literally and figuratively knock on that door. They just knock on the door to the vagina constantly. They're like, "Hey, are you home yet? Is the vagina home yet? Are you here yet?
Are you open? Can I come in? Can I come in?"
Jesus. It's so bad. And I mean, the guys don't seem like bad people.
I mean, they're nice enough guys, but they're like, it's totally
but they're kind of creeps to her because they're always...
Look, it's because Tony, the character... It's so that she has something to like think about and pine for, even though she doesn't really want it. She kind of does want it. She's like, every time she describes, she's like, oh, I have to hold myself back from jumping on top of them all the time.
And I think it's shitty in a lot of ways the way that this whole like love triangle thing is portrayed, because
there's always love triangles in books like these, right?
Yeah, there's
what's
always
the deal with that, man?
Crappy love triangles.
What's the deal with that?
I don't know.
Do ladies always want to have 2 guys on tap? Is that what this is?
No.
Team Jacob, Team Edward, fucking Team Lawyer, Team Cowboy?
No, it's annoying.
But it pops up in a lot of romance stuff.
I think that's because some women want to feel like every man wants, just like men. I mean, every person. I would say, it's just a human thing. Yeah. You know, everyone wants to feel wanted. They want to feel like they're hot shit, they're the greatest, or they're the hottest, or both.
And it's fun to be in the position of, oh, I have to choose.
Yeah, you get the choice, right. So these guys don't seem terrible, but I do hate how creepy they are, because every time they're alone with Tony, they're always trying to like touch on her and try to get her to kiss them, and like it's not great.
Like, they'll put like a hand on a shoulder or the back, or
I still think that's weird.
Kiss on the cheek, but she's clearly receptive to them. Is the thing, like she says, like, "Oh, I'll get around to one of you eventually," because they know about each other basically.
But I think that's what I hate about it, is that she's fucking playing this stupid game. Stop playing a game. Stop it. Stop.
Yeah, either you can you should
tell people no across the board, or date.
I do like that she is honest enough with both of them to say, like, hey, there's other dudes kind of like knocking on my door too. That's an honest communication thing that I think is you should tell people. I
agree.
But at the same time, she shouldn't like kind of let them in so much.
Yeah, she leads both of them on, and I think that's wrong. I think that she
definitely is like saying like, yeah, you can get me eventually. Yeah. You might be able to get me eventually.
Yeah, and that's what I don't like about it.
Just keep trying. Just keep trying.
Yeah, just keep knocking on that door.
So I don't know really who to like kind of place the not the blame, but like
I think it's on her.
The onus here.
I think it's on her, and The other thing I hated about her that we both hated was how creepy she is about both of the dudes when she's thinking about them or looking at them, and we get that.
She's basically sexually ready to go every single fucking time about their broad shoulders and they're like...
Yeah, let me just read
kind of wondering, I was like, am I going to get like some like hardcore dicking in this like gluten book all of a sudden?
I thought it was going to end that way too, but then it didn't.
Like, I was honestly like going back and forth on like, is this book about to have a fuck scene between...
Yeah, I mean, I kind of thought it was gonna go that way.
And I was like, how far is she going to go with it? Are there going to be gluten-based metaphors for penises?
I mean, I'm going to read a couple of paragraphs because just these few paragraphs will illustrate our point.
Hit us. This is a good way to wrap this up, maybe.
Oh, God. Okay. Nice float. I turned to see Brad Ridgway leaning on one of the metal poles that held up the roof. Why did the sight of him always make my heartbeat pick up? Was it his electric blue eyes? The wide cut of his shoulders, the thick blonde hair now sporting white at the temples. How was it that the man managed to still look like he was a teenage heartthrob? Thanks. I stepped toward him without thinking about it. Today he wore a tailored dress shirt tucked into nice-fitting Levi's. His shirt sleeves were rolled up, and there was a smudge of dirt on his cheek. Are you working on a float? Elks Club. He pushed me away from the beam. What gave it away, my workman's tool belt or the cut on my thumb? His words had my gaze going to his belt. What was it about a man with a tool belt slashed across his hips? I forced myself to concentrate on the bandaged thumb he held out. Neither, I admitted. It was a smudge on your cheek. There's a smudge? He rubbed at his face, smearing whatever the smudge was until he had a long, dark streak. More than a smudge now. I pulled a handkerchief from my pocket. May I? As long as you don't wet it with spit. I stepped in close and took a deep breath of warm mail and starch. Man, you take all the fun out of things.
I like my men warm.
I reached up and wiped the dirt off.
Freshly baked.
I really didn't want to step back. I really didn't, but we were in a very public place. He was my lawyer, and I had sworn off dating.
So that basically happens every time Lawyer Dude or Cowboy Man shows up. If she's like, I was like lounging in his smell and musk and arms or whatever. Like,
so the sentence that almost killed me and my coworker when I read it at work was... I stepped in close and took a deep breath of warm mail and starch. Jesus Christ!
What does a warm mail smell like, you think, Paris?
I don't...
burgers and sweat and...
God, why? Just,
car oil, I don't know, like...
I mean, I get, like, you're trying to say... I understand the idea that when you like someone, the smell of them is good, you know? But that, it just seemed...
The scent of warm mail and starch is definitely a line for the ages.
Yeah, not well put.
What a bouquet. It smells like ball sweat and fresh laundry.
And Febreze and ball sweat.
Febreze ball sweat. Febreze warm mail.
And Axe.
Yeah. New Febreze warm ball sack and Axe body spray scent.
Oh, God. But yeah, Chris is right. The passages like that happen every time Sam or Brad are around Tony. And yeah, that
she describes everyone physically. Also, like, most of the town is blonde and blue-eyed.
Yeah,
everyone's mad blonde. Weird. Kind of Aryan up in here a little bit. Maybe Homer Everett has to start throwing footballs at people in the town. I fought these damn Nazis in Germany. I ain't gonna have them in my house.
No, I mean, I think Megan has dark hair, and so does Sam.
Yeah, there's plenty. I'm kind of like being over the top, but it seems to be the majority of people in the town are blonde and blue eyed.
Yeah, a lot of people are blonde or red haired or whatever. But yeah, I mean, personally, I just don't really like romancy stuff, and so it was annoying. But I am glad that it didn't go to Bone Town. Like, we didn't have to go to Bone Town.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure later on in this series, she probably fucks both of them, and then like the conflict is like, which one do I really want? Yeah,
I mean, the next book in the series, it's only all of her series are like 3 books, I think, except for some of her family-related mystery. I don't remember. I looked it up a little bit, but most of her books are 3 or 4 books, but a series, sorry. But this one I think is 3. It's Gluten for Punishment, Murder Gone Awry, and then the last one I forget what it's called.
Maybe it's still to come out or something like that.
No, I saw it on her website. I don't think it existed when this came out, but I don't remember.
Do you have anything else to say about this sloppy mystery?
Oh, it's really sloppy.
This very loosely, not well kept together.
Yeah, you're right. It's like a poorly baked gluten-free item. Yeah. Although I will say the best cupcakes I ever had were gluten-free. I'll say it. I mean, because gluten-free stuff is kind of great for baking because a lot of the time, but they obviously have to take the gluten out of stuff, and so they end up replacing it with like sugar and fats to make it taste better. And so it does, and it's really,
I definitely like the texture that gluten gives things, so I actually really love it in most things, like especially like doughy things like empanadas or like pierogies or something like that.
I don't know, man. I've had plenty of gluten-free stuff, and I think it's fine. Like I don't even notice.
I'm pretty sure even ramen noodles tend to have a little bit of something in there that's
if they're made with flour, then
yeah. So
but if they're made with rice, then no.
The ramen that I really love at this one place I go to probably has an ass ton of gluten in it based on the texture.
Yeah, I mean if it's made with flour, then yeah. But like I don't know, a couple weeks ago, so I moved recently. I think I mentioned that last time, and I now live above a bunch of people I know, and so every Sunday we go downstairs to watch Game of Thrones all together. And we did like family pasta meal, and one of my friends who actually does have celiac disease lives below me. And she made corn pasta, and it was actually really good. Like, it was awesome. We made sauce, and Paul made sauce.
I would try that.
I won't take credit for that sauce. It was delicious, but Paul made it. But yeah, I mean, it tasted great. Couldn't tell the difference. I mean, I feel like a lot of it is that way. So yeah. But obviously, if you don't know what you're doing, shit can get really bad and fall apart.
I don't
like this book.
There's not much material here. Like we spent a half an hour of this podcast talking about other shit besides the book, almost because it was such. There's not much there. It's like we went over the sloppily done ending and sort of the other stuff that bothered us, but in the end, it's just kind of like there's not much there.
I don't understand.
Not much intrigue. There's not much tension.
No. And like we said, the mystery wasn't well set up. Like there's nothing to lead you to the conclusion that happens. I mean, I guess you could have guessed, but
there's not really good evidence.
Yeah, and it's just not well put together.
Which to me is the fun part of a mystery book, right? Is like if you can piece it together before the main character does.
So the other thing I'm curious about is why are puns so common in all of these food-related books? So I say that because all the praise at the beginning, most of it comes from people who write other food-based mysteries. Yeah. So, from Peg Cochran, national best-selling author of the Gourmet Delight Mysteries, she says about Gluten for Punishment, the first book in the series, she says, quote, Nancy J. Parra has whipped up a sweet treat that's sure to delight. And then the Soup Lovers Mysteries, they say, a delightful heroine, cherry-filled plot twists, and cream-filled pastries. Could murder be any sweeter? Like, did people really say this? This sounds so made up.
Yeah, it might, like, yes and no. I mean, those are probably also pen names. Like, a lot of authors write under pen names at this point.
Oh, no, I know. I'm saying what they actually said.
I know that, but, like, they have a personality to put forth, and part of that is, like, being really punny, probably. So anything there's an official quote from them has to be, like, overwroughtly punny.
Yeah, like the Cheese Shop mystery author, this baker's treat rises to the occasion. Whether you need to eat allergy-free or not, you'll devour every morsel.
Yeah, it's just a lot of like,
And that's kind of what this whole book is like, too. Everything's a pun, and it's... I guess we didn't talk about
Here's one for you, courtesy of Rebecca, actually, my friend.
Oh, no.
What does a pirate pay for corn?
Sorry, what does a pirate pay for corn?
Yes. A buck an ear.
Man, it's pretty good, actually.
Yeah, see, sometimes it can be pretty good.
Yeah, I guess the only thing we didn't touch on was the Asperger's, the weird Asperger's high horse that this book is on briefly at some point.
The kid is on the spectrum, and I don't really know if it's a good depiction or not, but there's like a brief moment about like
it happens a couple of times. That's why I bring it up. So Tony's best friend Tasha and her son Kip. What is that even short for? Kipling? Who names their child Kipling? I don't...
Kipford.
Yeah, I don't know.
Kiptholomew.
It's a...
Kippard.
It's a quick...
Kipston.
No, like really, what is Kip short for? Does anyone know?
I think it's just the name. Kip.
I don't know.
Kipper.
I don't know. Anyway, so...
Kippington.
Tasha has the son...
Kipstopher.
Stop it. So Tasha and her son Kip live with Tony in the giant family house, even though they're not really family, because Tasha's fallen on hard times trying to raise Kip by herself. And, that boyfriend she just had who was actually a murderer, that wasn't good for her life, so she didn't have anywhere to go.
Yeah.
So they live with Tony now, and Kip has Asperger's. He is, that form of autism. And I feel like it's really not well illustrated. It's just one of those things that's told to you instead of shown, which is a sign of bad writing, where you would never know. You would never know.
They talk about how he's, like, really averse to change a lot of the time.
Yeah, they talk about it, but they never show it. That's what I'm saying. It's because at the beginning, you don't notice that he has this disorder because you wouldn't know until they tell you.
Kind of like, people with Asperger's act normal sometimes too. Like, you wouldn't necessarily, they're not doing Asperger-y things all the time.
Sure, but look, I'm not trying to say that everyone with a certain condition or disorder or disability acts the same way every time. I'm not trying to stereotype people. I'm just saying that I feel like if you really did have a kid like this, you probably wouldn't be happy with the portrayal in the book, because all they do is say, oh, he can't handle change, but then, like, nothing really ever happens. Yeah. He cries when the dog isn't there, but, like, what little kid doesn't get upset when their dog isn't there?
They talk about how, like, he has a very specific schedule, and, like, if his mom deviates from the schedule, he gets kind of upset.
Yeah.
But, that could go either way for me, if I'm being honest with you.
I don't know.
Like,
I guess.
It's just as shallow and insubstantial as anything else in the rest of the book.
Thank you. Yes, that was the point I was trying to make, is that it was shallow and insubstantial. Thank you. I was having trouble.
Sorry.
No. I was just having trouble articulating that. But yeah, I just felt like it was this really, like, ham-fisted, like, autism's bad and you should be nice to people with Asperger. Like, that. Not that I don't agree with that, but I just felt like it was really poorly done. Like,
much like the way you get, like, gluten-free baking advice in the middle of some chapters where she's, like, making 50 pies for the whole town or something. Right. She goes on for a paragraph or two about how to properly roll gluten-free dough or something. It's just, like, weird filler to, like, just lengthen the page count a little bit.
But I feel like at least that's related to the fact that she has a gluten-free bakery. Like, why they have to throw in this kid with Asperger's, I have no idea.
Also, like, the gluten-freeness only has to do with, like, the fact that she has a gluten-free bakery, and in the end, the murder, the plot to murder her is foiled by the fact that she can't eat what they poisoned. That's the only way gluten...
But it doesn't even make any sense because everyone knows she has celiac disease, so I don't know.
Once again, it's like if you had a superhero whose superpower was lactose intolerance and he foiled various evil plots based on not eating cheese.
Yeah, it's very stupid. And I guess, I don't understand why...
They poisoned all the pizza places in town and I was the only one that wasn't poisoned, so I had to solve the mystery while everyone was taking a shit. Like...
I guess I'm just trying to figure out her connection to Asperger's and why this was something she decided to include. I don't know, maybe just to try to be like, I don't know, the world's diverse and sometimes you got a kid with Asperger's. Again,
for me, it was like an either or. I didn't really feel that bad or good about it. It was just, there wasn't enough material there to really even chew on.
It was not. I just felt like it was something put into the novel sloppily, much like the plot, where,
that essential part of any book just kind of haphazardly jammed into the crust. If this book was a pie, it would be like the fucked pie from American Pie, where it's just kind of all messy. And
I feel like if this were a pie, it would be one of those. It would be like, you go into Shaw's or Hannaford's or any grocery store, and you're like, I really haven't had pie in a while. That strawberry rhubarb looks really good. You know what? I know it's a store pie, so it's not going to be as good as if I made it myself, but I'm going to try it. And then you take it home, and you warm it up, and you cut it open, and it's all rhubarb. And there's no strawberry, and it tastes like fucking garbage. And you're so mad because you had to just spend $9 on this fucking pie, but it's not. This actually happened to me as well.
Okay.
So
real life.
It's a perfect analogy for the book, but this actually happened to me.
All right. Well, I once bought a strawberry on too much rhubarb pie, like you did about gluten intolerance people. I think that might be a point to put a wrap on this.
No. I'm going to talk about how strawberry rhubarb pie is great, but when there's no strawberries in it, it's really weird.
Well, yeah, because
it's not good.
That's the I'm not coming to the pie for rhubarb. I'm coming to the pie for the fruit filling most of the time.
But the rhubarb is also good. It's just not by itself.
I like fruit fillings more than I like.
Yeah, I do too.
Like, it's more like if something has cinnamon in it, I'm not coming in it for the cinnamon. I want that cinnamon to be the background thing to something else.
To like peach or apple.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. God, I am starving. My stomach has been grumbling the whole time. We've been recording like every couple of minutes, but hopefully no one heard it.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Maybe the compressor will bring it up high enough that it'll just be super loud on the fucking recording. Just like I've been dealing with some audio issues because I got a slightly new setup. I got a new recording
I don't
program.
know what's been going on.
There might
lately.
be some fuzziness in this one too because I can't monitor it as we're recording. So I'm still getting used to things. Everyone.
Oh, and I haven't set up my recording area in my new apartment yet.
But I think we're solving this by you actually coming over here most of the time.
Yeah, because I mean I live close now, so it's not an issue. I don't think there's anything else. Oh, I did actually have one stupid funny thing to talk about. So the puppy, Aubrey.
Yes.
So how the puppy comes into play is Kip is in the park with his mom. He runs away from his mom without telling her while she's texting and crawls into a tunnel and finds this puppy in a hole in a tunnel and saves the puppy. And of course, the puppy is very dirty. So they first find the puppy. It's all brown. It's totally brown because it's covered in dirt. And when they get it home, like some of the dirt rubs off and they're like, oh, I think the puppy's actually not brown. And so they wash it. Turns out it's a white puppy. And the main character picks it up and looks at it and goes, if only you weren't white, I'd swear you were a Saint Bernard. And I'm just like, dude, it's a fucking Great Pyrenees. Like, how stupid are you? And then later they're like, oh yeah, we took her to the vet. Turns out it's not a Saint Bernard. It's a Great Pyrenees. Yeah, obviously.
Well, like, not everyone knows every dog breed there is.
I know, but I just thought it was so silly that they didn't immediately think of that.
I mean, we have a friend with a big old Great Pyrenees that probably puts it in the forefront of our minds more than other folks.
I guess I also was just raised with like a dog person, and so I'm really into dogs, but I thought that was kind of weird, and I don't know, the cover of this book is also really stupid, but we didn't really talk about that.
Yeah, the puppy is never in the, like, on top of the bakery or anything.
No,
but you don't have to have the actual cover scene in the book or
and
whatever.
And there's also, like, a broken window, which never happens in the book. So the cover of the book is a cartoon.
Didn't someone throw a brick or something?
No, this never happened. So there's a cartoonified version of the bakery, and so you see like a little cafe table and 2 chairs in front of a window, and then a bakery case with a puppy on top of it, like breaking fucking health code there. And so there's like some coffee in the foreground. And in the background where the table...
Excuse me, is this cupcake puppy free? Puppy hair free?
No. We actually mix puppy hair into all of our goods to replace the gluten.
Oh. Okay. That's fine, as long as it's not gluten.
Yeah, delicious. Stringy. So for some reason the puppy is on top of the bakery case, even though the puppy is never in the bakery and has nothing to do with, it's just like a background thing, so that's kind of weird. And then on the cover in the background where the little cafe table is, there's a bag that says gluten freedom, which is weird because in the book there's a sash that says gluten freedom but never a bag. And then the window is broken to the cafe, which makes you think like there was a break-in, but there never was. So the cover is like this unrelated. It's almost like it's like letting AI make a recipe. It's like they gave all the elements of the story to artificial intelligence and it assembled,
just throw something together.
It assembled this cover, which actually bears little relation to what happens in the book. Maybe her bakery got broken into in the first book.
Sure.
But I don't know why that would be on the cover of the second. So this book sucks ass. Don't fucking read this book, please.
I guess don't buy food-based mysteries or something.
Yeah,
I'm kind of super curious about the White House Chef series, if I'm being honest with you.
Some of the recipes in the back, I mean, they sound good. Like, they don't sound bad. There's, like, a gluten-free raspberry cheesecake, and there's, like, chocolate peanut butter bars, which were really simple, which I was going to make and then failed because we did this kind of last minute.
Maybe the recipes are good.
Yeah, I mean, the recipes seem good. Like I said, they're kind of like just, hey, make this regular recipe, but just use gluten-free flour from Bisquick instead. And it's like, oh, well, I could have thought of that myself. Thanks.
All right. Anything else to say about this very light and insubstantial piece of work. I think for me, it's like the last thought I have is like it's great that you can sustain yourself on this, but like who's buying all these food books?
Yeah, I would love to see the sales. In fact, like the sales statistics.
What compels you to like write on that theme? Is it market research? Is it like
I don't? Well, I mean, she was obviously like she Mary sued this thing because this whole series was very much based on her real life.
And is it like a good thing that these kind of books exist? Like, if someone wanted, like, I guess it's good that there's a gluten-free mystery if someone's really into that. But
it doesn't seem like
all the wonderful different colors of art and your personal creative process is your own thing. And I don't think even if Nancy happened to listen to this, like, I'm not saying don't stop writing your books or something. Stop writing your food-based books. Maybe do a better job, please.
I would probably say, could you maybe just put some more effort into it? Like, I get that it's just an easy paycheck, but at least make the plot and the mystery tie up correctly.
So I can't decide if it's like a good thing or not that this book exists, which is kind of the question I like to ask at the end of every episode now. Is like, is it a good thing for this book to be out there?
And I don't think... it's funny, actually, I'm going to get off on a tangent again because I just watched that documentary American Anarchist about the guy that wrote the Anarchist Cookbook, and the whole documentary was like, is this a good or bad thing that this existed? And the interesting... So I actually didn't know this about the Anarchist Cookbook until I watched this documentary, but all of the things in it, he just pulled from military manuals that you can get out of any library.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. I had no fucking idea. I had absolutely no idea.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I thought this was some like radical crazy man who did all these things, and that's how he knew how to make all this stuff.
You can write how to make a bomb all you fucking want. Like, it's not illegal to do that.
No. I know it's not illegal. I'm saying I didn't know that it wasn't coming from someone's personal knowledge. It was just this kid who was like, he was like 17, he was mad at the government, and was like, you know what, if the government can have bombs, then lay people should be able to have them too. And it was just information he found in the library. And I was astounded by that because I had no idea. I didn't know that.
Arguably, that's how a lot of, research works are done. Like, you collect a bunch of data and maybe add a sprinkle of your own methods and conclusion on top. And so
the whole thing was like, well, was it a good or bad thing that this book existed? And like, the author himself ultimately came to the conclusion that, he regretted putting the book out because so many people, because he took that information and put it out in a way that was inflammatory and got people's attention, it meant that way more people had access to it, and he gave away the rights, or he actually never had the rights to the book, and he didn't even know until it was way too late. The publisher had all the rights to the book because he was like 17 and didn't really care. It wasn't really in it for any reason, but then it ended up becoming bad because the publisher just kept publishing it, making money off of it. And, it ended up in the hands of the kids who perpetrated various massacres at schools in the U.S., and it ended up in the hands of some people that did some really terrible things. And, and he inevitably wanted nothing to do with it. And
I mean, that's a different scale than gluten-free mysteries, of
course, but it was the same topic. And
yeah, I know. It's interesting.
While I don't think, of course, I'm not saying that things should be censored, but it is interesting that this knowledge was out there, but had it not kind of been funneled and repurposed and put out in a different flashy way, people never would have realized that they could get that information. So it's very weird.
A lot of human history is like basically building off of the achievements of someone else because they already did it, and so you only have to do a little extra on top of that kind of a thing. Down to even when I make music and like I want to do a cover of a song and I don't want to program all the drums on my own. Luckily, someone else has already made a guitar profile of all that shit, so I can just rip it straight from there and like cut my work time down by like 12 hours of drum programming something. I did that with like a death metal song that I'm going to cover pretty recently, and I was like, yeah, this is a good metaphor for human progress right here. Yeah. That's what I thought when I.
Yeah, I mean, and so sorry. Getting back to the original question of like, should this book exist or not? I know it's not really the same level as the Anarchist Cookbook, obviously. I feel sort of the same way. Like, by saying something shouldn't exist, you're saying that you want to censor writing and speech, and that's somewhere I never really want to go.
Not yet. Like, I don't. That's what I mean. Like, I don't ever want to tell an artist don't do what makes you happy to create.
Yeah, but I do question the motive behind it. It's like, you have the freedom to do it, but like maybe use that freedom constructively and don't just take it as like, I can be a total anarchist and I'm gonna put my vagina blood on this pig's head and walk around it and call it an art piece, and that's
I mean,
and it's like, okay, yeah, you can
do that in a way
like
that might be artful, but usually a lot of the performance art stuff that I see that is shared usually is shared because like, look at this ridiculous shit that has no point.
Yeah,
I feel like maybe the more poignant performance art stuff, like you don't hear about as much,
right?
Because it's actually good or something like that. It's not as...
You're right, because but anyway, I think this book sucks, and I don't think anyone should read it. But I do understand the poor, tired person at an airport who has a layover at 3 in the morning of 2 hours and can't sleep and is like, well, I'm gonna spend $5 on this shitty paperback, and maybe it makes him chuckle and keeps him awake for a few hours.
Give your brain something to do for like 2 hours instead of staring at the wall and like waiting for your phone to recharge.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that it's not a good book, and I wouldn't recommend it to anyone, but I understand why it exists. I kind of wish it did.
Even though I didn't find it in an airport, I found it in a regular bookshelf at the Coop at Harvard.
Which is awful. Yeah. I think that kills me a little inside.
All right, well, I don't have anything else to say about this one. Paris, do you?
There was still no Rye in this.
Yeah, that's really the biggest tragedy in all of this. Like, even the fucking pun on the cover of the book has nothing to do with anything. So, like, if I read Home of the Braised, is that going to even have any braised meats in it?
It better have braised meats in it, Chris. If it doesn't,
we'll see, I guess.
We don't know what our next book is, actually.
Yeah,
we gotta shop for that.
Yeah, if you got any suggestions, send them over to Terrible Book Club. Leave any of your comments, criticisms, concerns, anywhere. We love to hear from you as much as possible. It lets us know that people are listening.
I forgot to tell you.
Okay.
I was on, not that we're going to do a sequel yet, but I was just like on Amazon, and I think because I was the one that bought and downloaded Moon People by Dale Courtney that we read for episode 14, there's a Moon People 2.
Oh, fuck out of here, Paris.
There's a Moon People 2.
Fuck out of here.
No, I am not. I mean, that book was...
We might have to do it maybe for like 25th
awful.
Episode.
Yeah, it was...
Quarter centennial, I don't know.
Yeah, it was really bad. But anyway.
We'll figure that out. Send your suggestions.
Yeah, please. We like suggestions.
The bigger of a backlog we have, the better.
Yeah.
But I believe that's going to be it for today. So, I don't know. Watch out for gluten, Paris.
Gluten's delicious. I'm gonna eat it.
Yeah,
Actually, I don't even like seitan.
Watch out for cyanide-laced cookies. Don't accept cookies from a strange
does cyanide really smell like almonds? I mean,
believe so. It does.
I don't know. I'm curious. I love almonds and marzipan. I guess you know how to kill me now.
Yeah, don't accept cookies from small strange boys.
Yeah.
That's the lesson today.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll see you later, Paris.
All right. Bye, Chris.